You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is August the 5th, 2019. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Hello, Carl. I'm coming off a long weekend.
I'm coming off a lengthy weekend. Been at the lake for a week, and then down here.
Very nice.
Long weekending. Any long weekend adventures for you?
Well, I was just down in Windsor visiting some family, but I spent time in a professional hockey arena, an NHL rink.
Ooh.
There was no ice.
No? What was going on at the old arena?
John Mayer was playing in Detroit, so I went to Little Caesars Arena, watched him play music.
And then just also took in all the Red Wings paraphernalia around the rink.
Of course. Always. It's always worth it to go to Little Caesars Arena, no matter the event. Although I can't say I love concerts in arenas.
No?
No, I don't think I do.
There's a certain, I mean, I'm used to the Saddle Dome, which has the worst acoustics of any arena ever. Turns out when you build a giant saddle-shaped arena, sound bounces weird off of that saddle.
I can only imagine.
It sounds as bad as you think arena shows sound. It sounds worse.
Yeah, and like generally, I don't love the sound. John Mayer sounded pretty good. I mean, he's a great musician, but just in general, the feel is weird for concerts in an arena.
I enjoy getting that many people together to like enjoy something together. That's what I like about an arena show.
Yeah, I like it, and it's pretty cool when everyone's singing the song, and then the main guy stops singing or girl stops singing, and then the whole crowd carries it. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm also a sucker for a concert, so I would spend all of my money on them if I could. But I saw what is a much worse show than John Mayer.
Okay.
Was at the local rodeo this weekend and witnessed someone who his whole shtick was juggling, but he did it in hockey gear. Like full gear. He didn't have blades in his skates, but like wearing skates, juggling pucks.
So you went to see a bladeless hockey-themed juggler?
I didn't go to see. He was there, and I stopped to watch.
Okay, and how was it?
It was terrible. Yeah. It was as bad as it sounds. Shockingly, he had a lot of... He pretty much ripped on every team in the league, especially Canadian teams. And then the final thing was juggling flaming hockey sticks.
Really? And how did that go?
Also predictably terrible. Yeah, he said, I'm gonna try it. During his like warm up, he dropped them once. Not a good start.
No, not a good start.
He said, "Oh, the wind picked up." I mean, It did. I don't know how much. If your whole shtick is juggling, you should be able to handle a little wind.
Especially if your whole shtick is juggling shticks.
A stick shtick.
A shtick of sticks.
Yeah. But he dropped them, and then he dropped them when they were on fire too. Didn't go out. That was what I was most impressed by.
Well, doesn't he like coat them in lighter fluid or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to go out.
Yeah. Anyways, that was weird. I didn't expect to see that this weekend, but I did. And
this is what happens in Canada to hockey fans.
And yeah, we have a lot of time in the summer.
Just try and juggle hockey equipment.
Yeah. Well, we actually have some news this week. Even the fact last week, fantastic show last week. Was a lot of fun talking with Joshua about the Russian Five. If you haven't listened to that, make sure you go do that.
Yeah. So have you gone and watched the movie yet?
I left almost immediately after finishing, left for the lake, came back, and still putting together my house. I will be watching it hopefully this week on any of my streaming services. Now that I know from that
where it is,
that it's there. So,
well, we want to hear about it when you do.
And you will. But yeah, we've got a shockingly large amount happen this week in the old world of hockey. So we'll get to a bunch of things. We're going to talk about some shopping that I did while I was away later.
Oh, yeah. Took me a second, but it clicked.
You're like, Carl, no one cares about like the T-shirts you bought. No.
On a good sale, did you?
I did, yeah. And then before we get to that, Park Power is one of the sponsors of the Alberta Podcast Network. Parkpower.ca is where you can go to get more information about that. Park Power is a spot where you can go and get your utilities, energy from. And what I love about them is they sponsor charities in and around Alberta. And they're like, a lot of people say that they do. They let you pick who you're going to support. And so if you have a specific charity that you want to support, head on over there, do that. And you will not regret it. That is a fantastic spot to do that. You need utilities anyways. Might as well do some good with it. Right, Nick?
Right.
You betcha. Well, let's get started with some news. I guess it started earlier this week and came to a conclusion of sorts today. Kevin Shattenkirk, the salary cap sacrifice from the New York Rangers, bought out by the Rangers this week, now signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning, brand new defenseman there. What do you? Let's start with the Ranger side. We talked a couple weeks ago about what they would do. Is that do you think that was the right choice, buying out Shattenkirk with 2 years left on that deal?
Yeah, I don't think they were left with much of a choice. Do you? Like, it's not that big of a hit. Oh, next year's a big hit.
Right. So this 3 of the 4 years, 1.5. Next year, $6 million on the buyout.
Yeah, that's rough. But I don't know. They were paying him way too much money. It needed to happen.
The thing of it is that they obviously, we're not in the rooms with these conversations. They tried to trade pieces. Like, this wasn't their first choice. Or it shouldn't have been. If this was their first choice, then we no longer can give them credit for this magical rebuild.
Right. Well, I don't think it was their first choice either. I don't think it's any team's first choice to buy out a player.
No. But you've got, Chris Kreider, who's, a piece that's been rumored to be on the move for some time. He's done after this year. So that, like, his 4.5, if you combine the two, it's still, the $6 million for next year still becomes 1.5. Which is like, I guess that's a weird way to look at it. But it was an okay-ish deal when he signed it because of the term, right? It was the money that he got was not smart, but it was a little shorter, and that made it okay, which is obviously good now.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other defensemen on this team, like Brendan Smith, who, like, why would they keep him and buy out Shattenkirk? But, like, I don't know. I feel like the writing was on the wall for Shattenkirk.
Absolutely. And with, like, he does have it would have been $6.5 million, $6.65 million. So all these years they are still saving money. Just next year, not nearly as much. But they've got so many pieces coming off the books next year. It'll be fine. But now moving to Tampa, a situation where he now has a lot less pressure on him. There's a lot less expected of him, and he can get those better matchups, right? He's not going up against the players that he was with the Rangers.
Was Tampa not his first choice at the trade deadline a few years ago anyways? I can't remember if they were his first choice or just like top of his list.
Yeah, they were one of the ones that he had talked of going to for sure.
Yeah. So all in all, not a bad situation for either team. Actually, I really like the deal they signed him to.
Yeah, it's for a team 1 year, 1.75. Super easy to fit him under that, right?
Yeah, especially this guy who's not as bad as his last season suggests he is. Like, I'm just looking at his stat line right now, and the one that jumps out to me is he's got a career almost 6% shooting percentage, and it was at 1.4 last year.
Yeah, that's not going to help. But a lot of the rest of what he did was on pace with the rest of his career, right? Like, he still had 26 assists, His possession numbers were as good, if not better, than before. It's just literally like his shooting percentage was down for sure, which looks bad. But
it looks terrible.
Yeah.
And then relative to, like I'd have to pull up the team stats, but my guess would be relative to how well the team performed in terms of puck possession and shot attempts. I would think that he's probably not bad relative to the greater team.
Yeah, and I don't have the exact number here. The power play was really where he struggled a fair amount with that team. But shockingly, you're going to a much better power play in Tampa where he might not even get time there. And if he does, there's a much better surrounding cast.
For sure. Although it would have been pretty good in New York this year too, with Panarin joining it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he would have. The Rangers will be good, but if we're looking at those last year numbers, not so much of a thing.
Yeah, look, I think the 6.5 or whatever he was making, almost $7 million in New York, was too much for what he is as a player. But I also think he is far from a useless defenseman in the NHL. No,
he definitely should have been signed again, and so now he's off to Tampa, which is just the rich keep getting richer. And also they just keep, I guess they moved, and we'll get to that deal later, but they moved out a former Ranger, which means they needed to go get another former Ranger in Tampa. So
the balance has to be struck.
There needs to be some sort of consistency there, and we can't just have them not having New York Rangers on the Lightning. So
such a weird thing.
Right. Yeah. It's at the point like that there's some sort of reason behind it. I just don't know what it could be.
There's got to be, right? They've got what, 1, 2, 2 right now. Former,
and they traded 2 away this year.
And they traded 2 away. So, yeah, there's something going on there.
It's a little fishy. What's going on? And it works for them. They do well, but yeah, they've got. Anyways, let's go to another contract that was signed this week. Sam Girard of my Colorado Avalanche signed a 7-year, $5 million per contract. No fancy bonuses, just straight money. 1 more year left on his entry level, so this will kick in after this season, and then another 7 years. I love this. When you're looking at the amount of money that some of these guys are wanting out of their entry level deals right now, for him to come in at $5 million, which will put him well below, market value. He'll be the second highest paid defenseman on this team, but worth it. And at $5 million, it's unreal. I'm big fan.
Yeah, but come this time next year, he may not be the second highest paid defenseman on the team anymore.
Tell me
Do you
more.
think like Nikita Zadorov, is he going to be around still after next season?
It's iffy. Yeah.
He'll want to raise, and he's at 3.2 right now.
Yeah, and he's been signing like 1-year deals this last. I bet he's still with this team for sure. Yeah.
Anyways, I think you're right. I think for a defenseman like Girard and the kind of player he's going to be in 5 years, this contract is going to be a steal.
Because this expires when he's 29 years old. So,
yeah,
it gets him through, takes a couple years off free agency, and all of a sudden you've got this hopefully great defenseman at an incredibly good deal. And then, you've gotten the best years of him, and he can go get super paid by somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, this pretty much carries Colorado through their window, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think it's a great deal for both sides.
I guess if he wants that consistency, right? Like I'm never going to judge or look down on someone for wanting that just like guaranteed money. I'm going to get mine. Injuries happen all the time. You never know what could happen, or he falls off a cliff, starts to be bad, whatever it could be.
He's on the mountains.
He is, yeah.
High altitude.
It's true. Got to be safe out there.
You think it's just the high altitude that gets all these low contracts in Colorado? The higher you go, the thinner the contract?
It might. I mean, that doesn't work for Calgary.
That's true. They seem to be much heavier there.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit lower in Calgary than it is in Denver, but maybe we'll have to look into that. We'll do depending on how much time I have this week, I'll put together a salary versus elevation graph. It'll be like one of those Sean Tierney plots except worse.
That's amazing. Can it be like on a map with topographical, you know how like there's the curved lines that show the altitude?
Yes, it has to be.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's going to one of those like contour maps. It's going to be great.
Through your podcasting as a hobby, you're going to become a professional cartographer.
Somehow, yeah. So yeah, love that. Couple trades. One more former New York Ranger, now former Tampa Bay Lightning, Ryan Callahan off to the Ottawa Senators. The biggest of salary dumps here, 5.8. But also, what's interesting, if you recall, he has a back injury that has him unable to play. Right, so essentially, he's retired, but he's still being paid, so he's not actually going to retire yet. So he will never suit up for the Senators. He's only got 1 year left on this deal, so this is simply a deal to get them someone on the injured list. I don't fully understand why the Ottawa Senators, they move out Condon's 2.4, but they're bringing in more money. Nick, can you help me here?
No, I can't. Every time I see the Senators involved in a trade, I'm like, why did they do that? I don't understand why they did this. To up their pick from the 6th to the 5th round in 2020.
Yeah, not even to gain it, just to move up one round.
To improve it. It just seems dumb to me. Like, why wouldn't you? They needed to get Callahan off their books. Like, they had to. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So why would you only take a 5th round pick for that? Crunch them a little more.
And even like, is moving up from that point worth the $3.4 million you save in actual money? Because this team's not competing for a playoff spot this year. So this is a move for this year to save $3.4 million to move up one round.
Yeah, it's puzzling to me why they would do this.
When the Leafs literally paid a 1st round pick to get rid of Patrick Marleau's contract. And like, it is different because it's not going to be a cap hit for Tampa, but still.
It's weird. It's weird, especially with all these precedents for how much it costs to dump cap.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't explain it, Carl. I wish I could. I wish I could help you out on this one.
I wish you could too.
The Ottawa Senators make 0 sense to me.
So with that being said, with Callahan now on the injured list, we saw the David Clarkson deal, him moving to Toronto as an attempt for them to get more money on the injured reserve to be able to make a bigger contract to Mitch Marner. We've seen this for years of teams moving players around, either to, like we saw it with Arizona, to get to a floor. Now we have Ottawa making these moves. How do you feel about just notoriously injured players or players who are retired being moved around as these just like salary pieces?
Well, it's benefited my team quite a bit over the last few years.
Yeah, and yours wasn't even injury, right? It was just Datsuk's gone.
He just left.
Yeah.
He just couldn't take America anymore. He's like, I gotta go. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a tool in the box that you can use. I don't think it really, I don't really see it as cheating. Do you?
No, I don't. There was a lot of people who were pretty upset when the Leafs made the Clarkson move because they were upset about it. But you look, Ottawa's done this. Arizona's done it for years, right?
Yeah.
Datsuk, they have Hossa right now. Dave Boland is a Arizona Coyote. Like, the Coyotes is where injured players go to
Chris
retire.
Pronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't really have an issue with it. It's just another tool in the box, and it gives teams that have that space or who are at the bottom of the standings it gives them an opportunity to collect assets. I have no problem with using your cap space in that way.
I don't have an issue using your cap space this way, and it's 100% within the rules. Everyone's able to do it, and I guess the only side of it is that it does take it because this isn't cap space that's being used up with these players, right?
Right.
They're being shoved on there, and so it does let teams with more money take advantage of this, or teams that don't want to spend money and they're just going to use the insurance that's going to get paid on these contracts, right? So a lot of most deals are like, what, 50% insured? Would you say that's accurate?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That maybe even seems low to me, no?
Oh, yeah. I figured that was a safe bet. What would you say?
Probably. I would think it's more than less.
I was thinking like the dollar number, like half of the.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay. And so you take on this money, and now they're only going to be paying, I guess, what, 2.9. So I guess if we look at it that way, if he is 50% insured, it's only $500,000 more that they're paying for that pick. So maybe that makes it a little bit better. And those are things that we don't know, right? But it just seems like it's a weird way, and I wish that there was more clarity in the rules around it. Like, especially with the Clarkson deal, it was like, well, why is Clarkson being moved? And it's like, oh, well, the Leafs need to get above like X amount of injured reserve before the season starts to be able to use it all. Just make it clear for all of us. That I don't see the reason why that's necessary.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's coming. I kind of feel like the league never really expected fans to be this into the business financial contract side of it, and the internet's kind of shattered all those expectations. And they're going to have to write something clearly soon, because otherwise they're just going to continue to be picked apart.
Yeah. So do you think that comes in the next CBA? After our next lockout, it'll be a little clearer for those of us who are left following hockey?
I mean, it should. It should. I don't even know if they need a CBA to do it. I guess so, because they're kind of disclosing players' personal information. But it should. They should be making, they see how interested people are when it comes to the cap and contracts. Why we have to go to a third-party site to get all this information? To me, the NHL, from a business perspective, this makes so much sense for them to take on and publicize, and then they can generate ad revenue from having their own cap-friendly site.
That would be unprecedented, though, because no professional league does that, right? NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, soccer, like none of them. I say soccer like I know that they don't publicize it. I haven't. I was just like, let's try to include someone else other than the North American sports. Like they don't publicize that information.
No, and some teams disclose it in their announcements. But I could see how it would cross a personal line. Like imagine at the business that you worked at, your employer posted everybody's salary onto the internet for people to pick apart. It's kind of a weird personal thing that, like, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be too comfortable with the world knowing. It is,
but I went on TorontoFriendly.com and actually found out how much you make already, Nick. So it's okay.
God. So yeah. you know how how little work I do for the money I make.
I've found out a lot. We're efforting to make some things happen there. But
yeah. So they can buy me out at any time.
I just want to know who's on your trade list. That's really all that I want. Yeah, you really should have put more signing bonus in there to make it bio proof. But
yeah, good. Trust me, I know.
Next time, just call me up. I'll be your agent. It's fine.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't think that would ever happen though.
No, I don't think so either.
Because of how, I'd love it. I'd love more clarity. I'd love to not have, Cap Friendly does a great job. All this information eventually gets out, which again, why, I think the team that I go to is the Flyers, right? They're notorious for not putting financials in their announcements. But I can go and within an hour I can figure out who it is and how much they got.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense when, the agent's going to tell you. The agent's going to talk to a reporter and tell you exactly what the number is.
Yeah. It's kind of just part of the game now, right? Like, and as fans, it's just part of your experience and interaction with the game.
And it is. I honestly, could you imagine living in a world, which sounds much more dramatic now that I've started this sentence that way. Could you imagine living in a world, Nick, where you don't know how much players on your team are making, how much cap space you have? Because then you come to free agency and you're like, I don't know what anyone's going to do. I don't know how much cap space we have. I could kind of guess what this guy's going to demand, but I don't know what the market dictates.
Would that make it more exciting for you or more frustrating?
I would say more frustrating because you'd sit there and you'd be like, okay, why is my team not doing something, right? Like our team is terrible. Like let's take a scenario like the Canucks. And I picked them because they have a lot of really bad contracts on that team. And they can sit there and in next offseason, let's say they wanted to go out and get someone, right? They're like, all right, rebuild's done. This is our time to shine. And as a fan, you don't get to know why they're not going out and signing those players you want them to sign. And there's no real indication of why. They're just like, yeah, we're just going to fill some more holes. We're going to sign a bunch of more third and fourth liners instead. That would be frustrating to me.
Yeah, and you could probably, if you look at it from that way, you could argue that it's beneficial for the team that this is all public.
For the team, absolutely.
Right? Because now people know the reasons behind it, and you're not constantly defending your decisions.
Yeah. I mean, you might still have to. I mean, one person who had to a lot this week and actually didn't really get that much of a choice. He had the choice, actually. He just turned it down. But Paul Fenton, former general manager of the Minnesota Wild, no longer with the team. A brief, I believe it was 14-month period. He was the general manager of the Minnesota Wild and didn't exactly leave the team in a better place than he found it.
So I missed this whole thing. What the heck happened with Paul Fenton? Why? Give me the rundown.
Paul Fenton, hired as a general manager of the Minnesota Wild, and then started making a fair amount of changes. And if you are interested, part of what Nick's talking about, there was an article that came out after his dismissal this week from Michael Russo of The Athletic. And in this article, he detailed a number of ways that Fenton was terrible for the Wild. And some of them were a little weird. One thing that he was really into was making sure, as we talk about teams wanting information to be kept on the down low, he was very against leaks. And so he would just create this super negative culture because as soon as there was any information leaked, he would just go ripping through the front office, figuring out who it was. And it's literally, there's two sides in it. Who says it's for almost someone from your side?
Right.
Agents are leaking stuff all the time. They use that as power for sure.
Right.
He apparently just didn't see that, but so that was one thing that was interesting. But just his moves and the way that he did it, you may recall the Nino Niederreiter for Victor Rask trade.
Yeah.
Niederreiter goes to Carolina, Rask to Minnesota. Not a good move for the Wild. Would you agree?
Yeah, it didn't work out too well for them.
No. And I think we all saw it at the time. Not that good of a move. And that they detail in this, if you're talking about leaks, this article is full of people leaking information to Mr. Russo. But they go into the details of just the lack of due diligence that he did. He had analytics people. Both of them are now gone. One's working in Seattle. And then the other one, I don't think is working in hockey anymore. So they had two. Both of them are gone. Didn't consult them. Didn't consult former Carolina Hurricane captain Eric Stahl, wasn't like, hey, what do you think about this deal? Should we do it? Didn't really talk to anyone, just did it without any sort of foresight. So it was just like a lot of weirdness, but I'm not sure he was the right fit there or anywhere.
That's interesting. I mean, he had only been this was his first stint as a general manager.
Yeah.
But he was also an assistant GM under Dave Poile in Nashville. And Dave Poile is considered one of the better GMs in the league. So it's pretty crazy that you can be learning from someone like David Poile, and then once you're gone to take it on yourself, there's this huge disconnect.
Yeah, to be able to see what he does and learn from that, it is interesting. It almost makes me think, like, if I was in that situation and I went so differently, it would be like I'm trying to be my own person.
Right. Trying to prove yourself a little bit.
Yeah, like, I don't need him. I don't need his approach. I can do my own way.
I can make my own decisions.
Yeah, maybe.
There's probably a little bit of a power trip in there too. I have the power.
Well, and one of, a deal he made was Kevin Fiala from Nashville for Michael Granlund. Not that great of a deal. And that was a guy that they brought over. Again, when David Poile is your old boss and you call him up to make a trade and he's like, yeah, I will do that. Maybe just don't.
It's true. You should know how he's thinking a little better than to do that.
Yeah. But rumored replacements for Paul Fenton. Ron Hextall,
it's got to be Hextall.
Former Flyers. And I don't know why this rumor exists, but Peter Chiarelli, rumored general manager, which
God.
As someone who has the Minnesota Wild in the division of their favorite team, I'm all for it. Bring him on.
Of course. And of course they're sticking within the old boys club. I'm surprised Mark Hunter's name's not in there too.
Oh, he'll probably be brought in as an assistant GM or at least rumored to be. Yeah.
Imagine going from Paul Fenton to Peter Chiarelli.
Oh my God. But again, as much as Fenton did have a former, he's been in the business for a while. This was his first time as a general manager. And that did not work for this team. And so it makes sense to me why they're going back to someone who's done it before.
Yeah, but he should still, if he's been around that job for so long, like reporting directly into a general manager, you should have an idea of how to be a general manager. Like you should know a little better how to build a culture. You should know how to assess talent. Like he was an assistant GM. It's just crazy to me that it fell apart that badly.
And that fast. Like 14 months ago, they were like, this is our guy. And then after one season and part of an off season, that's always what's interesting to me, to fire someone at this point in time in the off season. Like not a fan of what you're doing so far. Go.
Something obviously went awry this summer. On top of what went awry last season, but good on them for making a decision now instead of waiting another season and being like, well, he's a new DM, he was working out the kinks of the position, and
yeah, at
least they just did it.
That is, I mean, if you have decided he's not the guy for you, definitely got to make a move. So
yeah, but this team's also not in a position where they can wait either. Like they got to start figuring out how the heck they're going to move forward.
For sure. There was one more big trade this week. Nikita Gusev heading from the Vegas Golden Knights to the New Jersey Devils. And if you have never heard the name of someone who was just traded for a second and third round pick, that is because he has been tearing it up in the KHL the last few years. 82 points this year. Had him near the top of scoring in the KHL, moved for a second, actually at the top.
He was the top of scoring, yeah.
And it wasn't close, really.
Yeah.
Which when you look, I always love looking at the top of scoring in the KHL. And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Huh. I remember him. It's just a who's who of, oh yeah, that guy.
Who else do you see from 2018-19 that you're like, oh, that guy?
Nigel Dawes. Do you remember him?
I don't. But the name, I was just looking at that name thinking it looks familiar.
Yeah, I want to say he played for the Blues. We've got Linus Omark.
Mm-hmm.
We got Mikhail Grigorenko, former Sabre and Avalanche.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun to look back and see who's still there. This guy, I don't know. Pavel Datsyuk, have you heard of him?
I have, Carl.
Yeah.
I know him very well.
He's 26th in KHL scoring this year.
Yeah. He's also 26 years older than everyone else who plays in the KHL.
It's true. Anyways, Gusev, 27 years old, traded to New Jersey, then subsequently went ahead and signed a contract with the Devils. 2 years, $4.5 million apiece for a guy who has not played a game in the NHL at 27. Is this a little? I assume they're hoping he becomes Panarin. He's a little older than Panarin was, but this is like a guy a little older than rookies coming over, making his debut.
Even if he doesn't become Panarin, it's probably a deal that they're not going to regret. For 2 years, like how much scoring would he have to do for you to be like, oh yeah, this is a great contract?
A great contract?
20 goals?
If he put up 20 and 55, 60, I don't know.
So an 80-point season makes this a good contract?
Oh, no. 80-point season makes it a fantastic contract. I was just thinking like 60 total.
Oh, 60 total. Yeah, so a 60-point season makes it a great contract.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think he could do that. I think this is a great deal for him. And they didn't have to give up a lot either.
Now, do you think that I guess that's what I was going to ask. Move in the second and the third. When you then sign him to a 4.5, again, if he becomes what makes a $4.5 million contract worth it, a second and a third is great.
Yeah, 100%. And with the way the Devils have built their roster this offseason, those are probably going to be lower picks within those rounds.
One would hope. Yeah. I mean, if they're not, then the Devils are really screwed up.
Yeah.
Which is possible. There's I still don't trust their goaltending.
I mean, you never know. Goalies are weird. Corey Schneider could come back and do another Vezina season, but that's probably their weakest point right now.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll see. There's lots of
I think they've had the best offseason.
Oh, for sure.
Of any team.
It's not that close. They were given making it a great offseason. Like if they had done nothing else, it was a great offseason just by getting Jack Hughes first overall.
Well, yeah, and you get a little bit of luck by getting the first overall pick in Jack Hughes. But my question is, if they didn't win the draft lottery, do you think they go out and get Subban and go out and get Gusev and Simmons?
No.
I don't think they do either. I think they wait it out.
I think they just stick to their plan, but this speeds it up a little bit.
Yeah. That's what's so great about this draft lottery is winning the draft lottery. It can really give teams light a bit of a fire under them to make some moves. And it's exciting for the Devils.
You know what's not great about this draft lottery?
What?
Number one odds and losing them to the Devils twice. It's not fun, Nick.
Okay, number 4. You'll be okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Let's go to some Triple H.
Time to play the game. Have you listened to that actual song yet?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
You do a great job. If I haven't told you yet already, you're killing it.
You haven't, but I appreciate you lying to me.
I was out this week, and I was in a town in the middle of nowhere in Alberta. And this small town apparently has a real knack for antiques. There's
Go on.
I don't know how many people live there. look it up how many people live there. But in this small town, there was probably like a dozen antique stores. It was ridiculous. I walked into the very first one I walked into, had a bunch of hockey memorabilia, and not like good stuff, but just like, here's a picture. Like one store had a framed picture of Wayne Gretzky. Nothing fancy about it, just a framed picture of him, $15.
Like, was he playing hockey in the picture?
He was, yeah. He was skating for the Rangers. But yeah, it was just, it's interesting the things that you see for sale, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it was fun to look and see kind of what there were, like a lot of books, a lot of pictures, nothing that really tickled my fancy. So like, oh, I have to have that, right? There was an old pair of skates, like 1930s era skates.
Like actual skates?
Yeah.
Wow.
Those were pretty, I mean, they were expensive, but they were cool. But what it got me thinking down the line of collectibles. How much are you in like the hockey memorabilia, cards, jerseys? What else do you collect?
What this doesn't include things like newspaper clippings and magazines.
I would say for sure that
pucks, photos.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge collector. Probably the last few years, as I got really, really intensely into covering hockey, I have purchased a few more jerseys. I got a chair from Joe Louis Arena when they shut it down. I ended up picking up one of the chairs there.
Did you? I meant to ask that earlier. Actually, did you stop by the former Joe while you were in Detroit this weekend?
There's nothing to stop by to.
So it's fully gone. There's nothing left.
Not completely, but like they've started taking the cranes to it. Yeah, it's coming down. It's pretty sad. It's crazy because you used to be able to see it from the Windsor side.
Yeah, I've never seen it except for from Windsor.
Yeah, and last time I was in Windsor before this time, they had taken the letters off that said Joe Louis Arena, and you could actually see that the like shape of them from across the river. And this time that I went back, 3-4 weeks later, it's pretty much gone.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing with that space.
I wouldn't know either.
But anyways, yeah, so I have a seat from Joe Louis. But when I was a kid, I collected a lot of hockey cards, which I still have in my mom's basement.
Yeah, I actually have them right behind me here. Hockey cards were like, that was what I spent my money on.
Yeah.
There was nothing better. I think one of the most joyful, like, whole set of birthday gifts, my grandma got me a whole box of hockey cards.
Oh, nice.
And so I just sat there for like hours just opening them and going through them, and it was magical.
Were you one to like collect certain sets of them?
I would try to get the whole set. Like it would be, so I did like, I was a big Upper Deck guy. So whatever their like set of the year was what we would collect.
Yeah. You know which ones I really liked? The ones where the guys weren't actually playing hockey. Like ones where he's like swinging a baseball bat or eating cereal or something.
I seem to remember I had like the one that stands out to me, I think was Chris Gratton. I had like a Chris Gratton card and he was just like in a barn.
Jeans and a tucked in shirt.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I've got a little like box / case thing at home that holds probably 75 to 100 cards. They're all Steve Yzerman cards. I used to just exclusively collect Steve Yzerman cards.
That would have been smart. Yeah, I did. And so what about like autographed things? Were you one for those ever? Or?
Not really. I'm not a big autograph guy. Autographs don't really do much for me personally.
I was big into them as a kid, and now that I'm an adult, I've discovered that it's kind of weird. Especially if I go up to someone and be like, hey, can you write your name on this puck, please?
Yeah.
That said, I have a Marcel Pronovost autograph card.
Oh, neat.
I got that for Christmas a couple years ago. So like that I really appreciate that. I've told a story many times on the show of my Paul Correa autograph card. I've got a Jerome McGinley puck. I do actually, when we first moved back to Calgary, even though I wasn't a Flames fan, I got an autograph from Jerome on a jersey because my mom worked through the Stampede, and so it has my name on it, which I think is cool. It says like, to Carl, all the best, Jerome, which I think that's
super cool. So, yeah, that's really cool.
But what I did do, and this is what I want, who knows how this is going to go. This is an audio medium, but Nick can see. Maybe we'll put this up. Maybe I'll find some way to edit some video together. Probably not. I'm going to be doing way too much elevation work this week to really find time for this. But I've got some hockey card packs here. And we're going to just dive in. These are old packs. So first one I got, and I'm starting with this one because it's already falling apart open. So
okay.
It's O-Pee-Chee 92-93.
And just to be clear, you purchased these at the antique shop, right?
I bought these at the antique/candy store. Yeah.
Okay. I've got Hockey Reference open, ready to look up some stats.
Okay. For some of these players?
Yeah. Or you probably have them on the back of the cards.
They are. I don't know what these cards are normally like, but I feel like I hit the jackpot with this set of cards.
Okay, let's hear it. Who you got?
Here we go. And I've only got, I got Denny Potvin.
Nice.
Joe Murphy.
Nice.
Near and dear to your heart, Igor Larionov.
Oh, a Russian 5.
In a Canucks jersey.
Russian 5. Oh, that's early.
Yeah. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, Super Mario.
Pavel Bure. Joe Sakic.
There you go.
Jeremy Roenick, Mike Ridley, and Brett Hull. That was a haul for 8 cards. That is an
elite pack of cards right there, Carl.
We've peaked. Just shut it down.
Yeah, the next is going to be a bunch of 6th-round draft picks who never played in the NHL.
Yeah, it'll be like, oh, rookie cards.
Yeah.
But what I will be doing is I'm going to be heading to I'll hop on Beckett and see what any of these cards are worth after the fact. I wanted to do that in the store, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to just to see like what sets have good value. But
so what set was the one you just opened?
That was the O-Pee-Chee 92. Now we've got one NHL Parkhurst. Not one I'm well versed with.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
So we're going to see what they've got in here.
Okay.
One thing to note, so I've got 4 that I'm opening today. We have set aside 2 packs of hockey cards to send out as prizes. Do you have any thoughts on things that might be worthwhile to send those off to someone?
Oh, like criteria on how to give them away?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go through this next set. Let me think about it.
Okay, so we start off strong. First guy up, Mike Modano.
Okay.
Next up, future Minnesota Wild general manager Ron Hextall. Dave Taylor, Adam Oates with the Blues.
Adam Oates.
UA Krupp with Buffalo. I guess with the Islanders. After moving, Matthew Schneider, Darren Shannon, Bob Essenza.
Nice.
We've got some Winnipeg Jets showing up here.
There you go.
James Patrick, Robert Reichel. This weird Wayne Gretzky card. It says
yellow background.
Wayne Gretzky, frequent All-Star.
Oh, it's an All-Star card.
Yeah.
What stats does it have on the back?
It has nothing on the back. It's just, it has just like a paragraph about how many times he goes to the All-Star game.
Looks like it could be a golden ticket of some sort. Like whoever got that got tickets to the All-Star game.
You know what? I'll look it up. We'll see what happens.
So how about we ask people to show us their favorite hockey card that they have.
I like that.
And we'll choose based on which player we like best.
And so I guess they know who to send in. Just start.
Or we can give it away randomly.
Yeah, well, we've got 2. So we can do one random and one dealer's choice.
I like it.
Either like a cool hockey card, something that's special about it for you, and then one pack that's going to be random. So
okay, I like it.
We've got the next setup is Score 91. It specifically says that it's English, which is good because I do not speak French. It has the young superstars set as part of this. Let's see if we get any young superstars in here.
Nice.
I'm flipping through. I do not see any fancy cards in this one, though.
No?
No.
Any names we'd recognize, though?
A couple, yeah.
Okay.
Mike Richter. I'm going to go to just some Denny Savard.
Yeah.
Ooh, cycling back to a couple weeks ago. Jimmy Carson, the Red Wing.
Part of the trade tree.
Part of the old Gretzky trade tree. Adam Graves.
Yeah, I remember Adam Graves.
Yeah. Alexei Kastanov. Not Russian 5, but around that same era.
Post 5, maybe part of the Russian 10.
Gary Nyland.
Yeah.
Dave Barr. Sean Burr. This is a Red Wings filled pack here.
Love it.
Curtis Lecision. And Craig Muni rounds out that pack.
You know what's amazing, Carl? We haven't seen a lot of Maple Leafs in these packs.
It's true, yeah. I don't think we have had a single one. We've got some Flames. Haven't got one Oiler. It's not anyone exciting. Yeah, I'll have to look in. We've got one more pack here, though. This is Pro Set Series 1, 91-92. This one, actually, I should have looked before I bought this.
I was going to say it's French, isn't it?
This one is French, yeah. However, we're starting strong. Well, we got a Leaf in here.
Okay.
Although we get started with Grant Fuhr.
Yeah.
Oilers era.
I like it.
Dave Gagne. Gary Roberts, Flames era.
Okay.
Our first Leaf is Gary Lehman.
Not even a good one.
No, we do have multiple All-Star cards in here as well.
Okay.
Mike Vernon and Andy Moog. And Kevin Stevens. Another Leaf. Oh, and Brett Hull. This is just all All-Star all the time.
Wow.
We've got a Cam Neely card in here. Darren Pupa. Tons of goalies in this pack. But I'm gonna do some more dive and see kind of, none of them say rookie. So I don't assume that any of them are rookie cards. But that would be fun.
You got a lot of Red Wings in these packs.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time to be a Red Wing.
It was actually
early 90s.
Yeah, it was.
That was what everyone wanted them. So, anyways, that's fun. I enjoy it. Make sure to send those in. You can email us, mail@thefourthlinepodcast.com, on Twitter @fourthlinepodcast, facebook.com/thefourthlinepodcast. We've got 2 sets here. We've got a power play pack, which is like this one I picked just because it looks weird. Full disclosure. These ones are about like twice the size, 25% bigger than a normal hockey card.
That is weird. Perfect for putting on display.
Exactly, yeah. And then it does say 1 limited edition insert card. I don't know what that means, but whoever wins this one's going to find out. And a Upper Deck 91-92 pack. So those are going to be heading out to someone this week. We'll hand those out on, I guess, next week. We'll hand those out on the show next week.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't mention on the show before, remember how we did the Guess That Player?
Yes.
It was guessed.
It was. They figured it out, eh?
They did, yeah. It took 5 clues.
Okay.
So how many clues do you think it would take for you to guess who Danny Cleary was? That's who it was.
It would probably take me, I would probably need to be directed towards Detroit before I could narrow it down.
So good news. That was the very first clue. This player played for the Red Wings.
Okay, well, I'm not going to guess Dan Cleary off of that.
So other clues included, and this is, I don't have them pulled up, so we'll see if I can remember all 5 clues that it took to get to Dan Cleary. Played for the Red Wings.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Okay.
Won a Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Played in 3 different decades.
That's probably around the time I would have narrowed it down.
And then I'm trying to remember what the other one was. The winning ticket was number 5.
Was it won 2 Stanley Cups or something like that?
No, it would have been. I'll figure it out here. Let's see what it was, because there is something. So,
Danny Cleary, Red Wings legend.
Yeah, I mean, and what was great was I lived in Newfoundland at the time that he was like doing his thing. So, and he's from Newfoundland, so he was the proud member of the Red Wings there. So not the Red Wings. Yeah. I mean, was he with the Red Wings? He would have been, yeah, with the Wings at that time. So
yeah, he was.
That was why I went to pick him. He was like, he's a little bit under the radar. Might not have been the one that you picked, but
until you say his name, and every Red Wings fan flares up.
Exactly. So anyways, that was fun. We'll do that again probably this summer. The final clue was this player has played for 4 different franchises.
That one wouldn't have helped me. But the 3 decades one, that's probably when I would have figured it out.
So you would have won. If you had been playing, you would have brought home the
if I had been playing, I would have won before you put out the first clue.
Because I told you.
Because I knew who it was.
It's true. It would have been a mean trick.
Yeah.
But it was I think it was a very excited response when I told you. I think you're just a like legend. Done.
Yeah. 100%. Danny Cleary still works with the team.
Does he?
Yeah. He's in player development.
Oh.
Yeah, Sean Horkoff's the director of player development. I think Dan Cleary is either a co-director or like right below him.
That's interesting. Sean Horkoff. Did he ever play for the Red Wings?
I think he did briefly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Nick, how do you feel about? I know you like to eat good food.
Love to eat good food.
How do you feel about brunch?
I live in Toronto, Carl. I have to love brunch.
Is it a big thing there?
It is huge.
Really?
Brunch is like you could wait in line for brunch.
Wow. There's some places here you'd wait in line for brunch. I mean, I wouldn't.
It's pretty intense.
No, I would, and I have recently.
It's pretty intense.
But, there is something that is sweeping the nation called Podcast Brunch Club.
Okay.
And so this is a thing where you can go and you listen to podcasts together over brunch. And what's great is the Alberta Podcast Network is greatly involved in both the Edmonton and Calgary chapters. Head to albertapodcastnetwork.com/events. Sign up for those, get involved with a fantastic community, as well as check out all the other things that are happening with the Alberta Podcast Network and events. Let's Find Out is doing a book club. Herman from Modern Manhood is doing the Wolfpack events there. Tons of great things happening. But Podcast Brunch Club is a monthly brunch podcast meetup. If you're listening to this, you like podcasts. I assume you also like brunch.
I love both.
So you would, I'm sure there's a Toronto chapter. If not, there'll be one coming soon.
I'd fit right in. Maybe I'll start it.
You could, yeah. You could be the head of it, which is great because, both of the folks helping to run the ones in Calgary and Edmonton are with the Alberta Podcast Network too. So you could just branch out.
Brunch out.
Brunch out. I like it, Nick. You obviously head to the fourthlinepodcast.com. We've got some great content over there. That's not just podcasts. We've got some of that. You can find us everywhere. If you are not aware, Nick, what do you use to listen to podcasts?
I use, my phone through the Apple iTunes app.
Okay. So you might not have noticed, but they've changed their categories.
I did not notice.
And so if you're already subscribed to this show, that's great. Thank you. If you're not, you can subscribe. We'd love that. You'll never miss a show, but they've changed it. So now sports is, shockingly, they decided to break it down into the actual sports and not just like amateur, professional, all that stuff. So you can now find us listed under the hockey category.
That wasn't done before?
No.
Oh my God.
And we were originally with SoundCloud, a terrible podcast host.
Right.
And they wouldn't let you change your category, like your subcategory. So it was just like sports. So we've been listed as an amateur sports podcast for the last 4 years. We're now listed as a hockey podcast. So
finally,
yeah, head on over there. Check us out. Subscribe. We're everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're I personally like using the Spotify app for podcasts.
I've heard Spotify's great.
It is. I mean, I use it for my music. I use it for my podcast. It's a one-stop shop, and I love it. So find us wherever you listen. let us know your hockey card story. Send us a picture. Send us a description. Pictures are going to help.
Yeah, pictures help.
Especially if they're wearing jeans and a tucked in white shirt.
Oh yeah.
That's going to get you up there. Any card that they're not playing hockey. Did we get any of those? I'm going to take a quick look here while we
I think you had one that was like a headshot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like there's Brett Hull like at the All-Star headshot kind of.
Yeah. Those ones are kind of boring.
Yeah, no one wants that. We don't want, but no, the rest of them are all playing hockey. Like I know they play hockey. What do they do off the ice? That's what I'm buying this card for. Nonetheless, thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week with a brand new show with some more hockey history.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. Send us pictures of your hockey cards. You could win because pleasing us isn't hard.